Run Barter Town? Salad Run Barter Town. Welcome back, everybody. I am Un, and this is I Played a Thing, Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. We are rocking the Executioner set today. Well, most of the Executioner set anyway. I am continuing to wear the engraved bracers for that occasional but very welcome critical hit. This isn't a terribly practical armor set, but I must admit I like the look of it. Kind of barbaric and post-apocalyptic. Anyway, last time we fought our way through the Undead Crypt, including some of Vendrick's top guys, the Dragon Rider and his right-hand man Velstat, including the dangers of the crypt itself, only to find the silly bugger had gone completely hollow and could no longer even acknowledge our presence. Now, why would he go and do a silly thing like that? Well, we will be getting answers eventually, but it's going to take a while, and we're going to have to work for them. Certainly there are no more answers to be gained from Vendrick himself. At any rate, today we've got a lot of things to do outside of the main story path. We've got some prep work to do, and we've also got some optional stuff, so it's going to be something of a cleanup update, but hopefully we'll have time to do a little primary progress as well. First thing I'd like to look into is our old friend Marlin's shop over here, because in his capacity as a boss armor collector, he will have Velstat's gear.
You need armor?
Here we go. Helm worn by the Royal Aegis. Originally imbued with the power of miracles, now soaked with dark after extended exposure in the Undead Crypt. A knight from a faraway land was lured to this accursed land, but forgot even why he came, eventually reduced to a shadow of his former self. Well, that is one interesting revelation there, that Velstat is not from around here, he is a knight from a faraway land. And I do have a theory as to where he came from, but it's a tenuous theory, and I admit there's not a whole lot backing it. However, when we get to the bit of possible evidence for that, I will discuss that when we get there. And the rest of his stuff seems to have the same description, so we can leave it at the helmet.
Are you sure?
Also, I had quite forgotten last time that I picked up a piece of the Insolent armor. We looked at the Insolent Mason shield, but not any of the actual armor. What was it, the boots? I think it was the boots I acquired. Let's see if I can track those. Ah, here we go. Boots worn by once proud clerics. Relics of a party who long ago attempted to conquer the Undead Crypt. For this sin their deaths have been postponed, so they may serve as crypt sentries. That doesn't tell us a whole lot, but it does point out that the Insolent Knights were clerics, which I suppose explains why they are so handy with lightning spears, those being the miracle type of spell. Let's see, what else have we got to go through today? Oh yes, we do have a bit more cat chat. This is activated by picking up the King's Ring. Where are you at, Shalquar? Oh, she's having a little cat nap. Well, sorry, we're gonna be rude.
You'll find a great creature far to the east. A colossal thing with the strength to match its size. Or something playing the part at least. Open the door and venture inside, and you'll soon smell even lovelier.
The Emerald Herald, when we met her after witnessing the state of the king, she did mention we were going to have to head far to the east, and it appears we're going to be seeking a tremendous creature, or something playing the part at least. That's a significant turn of phrase there, and I recommend keeping it in mind as we progress. Let's see, while we're here, I might as well pick up the red eye ring. I don't have any particular plan for it, but, you know, sometime we may need to make sure we can draw aggro, so why not? Oh, and I have one other bit of trivia regarding Shalquar. I found out what the trigger was that causes her to start selling the cat pants, and it turns out the cat pants pop up in her inventory if you have killed both the Royal Rat Vanguard and the Royal Rat Authority. I thought that was kind of cute. You have to conquer the rats to get pants from the cat. Also, I haven't checked on the state of my bow lately and whether I have the equipment to upgrade it, so let's find out. Oh, not repair, we need to reinforce. Bow, where's the bow? Nope, I need another chunk for that. Okay, well that's alright. What about the Rebel's Great Shield? All we need for that is some large shards. Okay. Well, I don't need to worry about that right this moment. And how about Chloanne here? We've done some quest stuff. Maybe she's upgraded her inventory again.
You've been long away. Well,
She has. Ooh, and she's got 10 lovely chunks. Not to mention a few Twinkling Titanite, but that's really expensive. And some Petrified Dragon Bone, which is even more so. I think this is going to be her last upgrade until the very end game, at which time she will get access to unlimited chunks. But for now, we can buy a few.
visit me again, whenever you please.
And that should allow us to finish upgrading our bow, but we need some more souls for that. Fortunately, I have 4 very high quality ones and 1 extra high quality one. Quit your complaining, I'm bringing you business. Marvelous. At long last, our sea bow is +10. Not that we need a whole lot of power behind our arrows, as we mostly use them to attract attention, but never hurts.
I'll be around.
You bet, big guy. Now I'm gonna throw some more chunks in the inventory.
What?
It's a big investment, but we gotta have them. And we'll pack 1 more large Titanite as well, and then we can probably finish up with the Rebel Great Shield, I suspect.
What?
Yeah, me again. Oh, we need just a little bit more money to finish that final upgrade stage on the Rebel Great Shield, but we do have the materials, and that's the more difficult part of the equation there, so I'm okay with that.
I'll be around.
Now, let's see, what else have we got here? Ah, yes, we do have some trade items. We can take care of those, and while we do our usual business with Dinah and Tillo, I can talk a little bit about the next step on our actual mission. Now, we did acquire the King's Ring last time out, and you may recall at various places we've encountered King's Gates, which when you approach them say produce the symbol of the king. There is one of those in the Forest of Fallen Giants, which will not get us anywhere useful at this point. There's one of them in Castle Drang Lake, and if we go through that one, we can actually fight the penultimate boss. But to actually fight the final boss, there's more we need to do in preparation for that. So all we could do is fight a boss, and then all we could do is leave. Now, if we go to where we would open that King's Gate in Drang Lake Castle when we're all ready to actually complete the game, we can fight the penultimate and final bosses back to back, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna prep for that and give it my best shot, try and Iron Man the boss fights. So we're not going there just yet. That leaves one more place which is the straight-ahead branch of the Ruined Fork Road, the place I accidentally started going on the way to Dranglake Castle. And that is going to be our path toward the distant east, and the next stop along our regular quest progress. Well, that soul of a proud knight is appreciated. That may make us able to finish the upgrades to our Rebel's Great Shield. No. Well, that Titanite chunk is not nearly as valuable as it would have been when we hadn't just bought a whole pile of them, but we're still gonna need more in the future, I guarantee it, so I'll take it. Let's go ahead and use that consumable before I forget about it. Yeah, that ought to give us enough to finish banging on that shield. Alright, Rebel's Great Shield fully upgraded, which gives it over 90% defense in everything except for dark and physical. Like I've said before, it is a very situational shield, but for the particular situation in which it will be most valuable to us, I find it practically indispensable. Now then, while we are in Majula, there is just one more thing that I can do while I'm in the neighborhood. Oh, you know what? I don't have a lot of souls right now, so I don't actually need this Ring of Life protection. Let me put my Chloranthy back on. What we can do while we're in Majula is use that Crushed Eye Orb of ours. You may recall that I picked that up in the Undead Crypt last episode. Actually, let's take another look at that real quick. The Crushed Eye Orb with an unfocused gaze. The crushed eye writhes unsteadily in search of dishonorable miscreants. Where are the fiends? Where are they? Alright, so, the crushed eye orb is looking for dishonorable miscreants, huh? Well, you may recall a particular dishonorable miscreant who's been giving us trouble with the occasional invasion, once in Dranglake Castle and once in the Undead Crypt very recently, that being the nameless Usurper, who I mentioned was someone that we know. And you can recognize her even though the colors are obscured by her red phantom coloring. Well, have you guessed who it is? If you guessed Lycia of Lindelt, give yourself a gold star. Yep. Looks like our priestess here is not only a blatant con artist, but also a full-on mugger and murderer. Well, an attempted murderer anyway. We managed to repel her both times. Nevertheless, I think it's our duty to keep her from victimizing any more travelers and, well, get our own back.
Curses puzzled me out.
Well, despite being a con artist and obviously not the most pious sort, Lycia must have a legitimately solid faith rating because she's got some pretty badass miracles on her arsenal, including Wrath of God, as you're seeing, and various lightning-based things. So she can actually be a pretty tough fight if you don't come fairly well prepared. And on top of all that, she can use some pretty potent healing miracles, so if you give her too much space when she's damaged, she'll just get her own HP back. Doesn't seem too aggressive though, and that's probably because she's still on the squishy side. She's got a decent amount of HP, but not much defense or any way to really repel your attacks, so her HP tends to go down pretty damn quick. Well, let's go ahead and get to it. Yeah, look at that HP. She must have put all her points into faith and vigor. No casting. Oop. Oh, there goes the heal. Wasn't a full heal, though. I know she has some stronger heal miracles than... Oh, Wrath of God! Fortunately, it's not too hard to play a little bit of chase around the kitchen table using this column in the middle if you need to get a heal in. She can get her own heals in pretty damn quick, though, too. Oh, Wrath of God again. Gotta watch out for that. Comes out quick, and it does do a hurtin'. Now what the hell was that? She just completely gave up her back with no provocation whatsoever. And that is that. We got a lot of stuff from her. Including the Rotunda Lockstone, which is what she uses to operate the mechanism here. And all of her equipment, plus a unique miracle, Soothing Sunlight. So we'll take a look at all of that as soon as we exit from our invasion dimension here. Alright, we'll start out with that miracle. You do have to take your revenge on Lycia in order to acquire this miracle. I'm fairly positive there's no other way to acquire it. A special miracle passed down through the ages. Greatly heals HP of self and nearby allies. This miracle, once kept by the Lindelt Monastery, was stolen and never recovered. Well, I guess we figured out who took it, huh? Too bad we can't return it to the monastery, but, well, it'll be in safe hands with us. Maybe we can mail it back to them. Also, we've got the Idol's Chime, which she was using against us. In any town there will be a few folk with unusual urges. They either endeavor to resist these urges, or act upon them out of the view of others. The world is not so welcoming, they may bear their souls true. Well, that probably explains a thing or two about our former friend Lycia. Let's see, what else have we got? Oh yes, her equipment. Let's see here. The Saintshood. Very funny to me that her equipment is called the Saint Set, because her own behavior is anything but saintly. Belonged to Lycia of Lindelt. Lindelt is founded upon stringent commandments. Its inhabitants often travel to distant lands for ascetic training, but more than a few of these trainees liberate themselves from Lindelt's teachings in the process. Maybe old Lycia got a little too well educated and discovered how gullible the world is. Still, I don't suppose that excuses her taking advantage of the fact. Anyway, this does give you some additional casts for any magic you have attuned, which is pretty nice. Requires 16 faith, though, so we're not faithful enough to use it. I do think the hood has a different description from the rest of the Saints' equipment, so let's check on that. Yes, indeed, while it's true Lycia dedicated herself to miracles, it's rare for anyone to pass through life without trouble. Even clerics aren't always who they seem. Oh boy, didn't we see evidence of that. Well, now that we've got that spot of unpleasantness squared away, let me take a look at my notes here, see what else we have to do. Oh yes, I do want to make a quick visit to our buddy Strayed in the, in the Lost Bastille. Not because we need anything from him, but because I don't think we looked at the lore for the Forlorn Weapons before, and that is somewhat relevant to our next destination. Yeah. Now, I've mentioned before that... Oh, he doesn't actually have any of it. That's why we haven't looked at it. Never mind. Well, we'll get the lore we need from a different item in the not-too-distant future. That's okay. And one more side trip I'd like to make before we actually start progressing. Is hop on back to the castle, because now that we've visited with His Highness Vendrick, I believe the Queen has a little bit more to say to us. And just a quick hop back out through the Twin Dragon Riders' rooms. Ought to get us there pretty quick. Oh, the NPC summon sign is back. That's weird. Your Majesty, about that husband of yours.
Drang Lake is no longer.
Wow, that's straightforward.
Brave undead, seek the throne. Follow the symbol of the monarch, and do what must be done.
Well, I gotta say, old Nashandra's taking the news pretty well. And is it me, or are her pronouncements getting more and more ominous?
Brave undead, follow.
Well, follow the symbol of the monarch. That is a reference to producing the symbol of the king to get through the king's gates, and so that, as we've discussed, is exactly what we're going to be doing. Well, since we don't want to fight the second-to-last boss, and there's nothing for us at the King's Gate in the Forest of Fallen Giants, that means we're headed back to Ruined Fork Road at the Shaded Woods. Not going that way. This time we actually want to take the straightforward route. And these are kobolds that would just run away from us, but they can have... Excuse me. They can potentially have interesting drops, so... Once again, we must be merciless. And has the hippo respawned? It has. Well, we'll just give ourselves a little insurance. And charge into the fray. Come on, get out of the swamp. Thank you. And have a seat. Thank you. Why don't you sit down again? Thanks for that. Alright, when we came through this way accidentally before, I already looted the Tearstone Ring down there in the swamp, so that's no longer a concern for us. And I think we had a royal guardsman here, but apparently he doesn't respawn. Well, never mind. What we need to do, as we have discussed, is produce the symbol of the king, which means the king's ring. All we gotta do is approach the door with the ring equipped. And voila! You sure did, message. Now then, the gate will not reclose if I put my Chloranthy back on, so I will do so. And in we go to Aldia's Keep. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, although we'll get an item reasonably soon with similar lore on it. If I were able to look at the Forlorn's weaponry in Strade's place, we would have seen that Aldia was King Vendrick's brother. But Vendrick got a little weirded out by a lot of the research that Aldia was performing, so he locked him up in his own keep here and sealed it with the King's Gate. Aldia was up to some pretty sketchy shit. He's pretty much a medieval mad scientist. And we're going to see some of his more interesting works as we proceed through the keep here, which contains his laboratories and some of his followers. Now, one other thing I'd like to mention is, during development, this area was not called Aldia's Keep, but was called the Dragon Research Facility. Now, I guess they just wanted a more straightforward, explanatory name, but Dragon Research Facility is actually still completely inappropriate in the final release of the game. So that's something good to keep in mind. Aldia was very interested in dragons, and that'll become important as we proceed onward. As a matter of fact, he's just leaving petrified dragon bones scattered around the yard. Now, those foggy critters wandering around there are more kobolds, but these ones are aggressive, and they can rather rapidly cause petrification buildup. So we're going to try and take them out quickly and accurately, and not get ourselves turned to stone. Oh, shit. See, look at how much petrification buildup that caused. No joke. Whew. That almost went really badly, and I almost got myself stoned there, but as you can see, no more foggy patches moving around. That's all of them. Over here we have a treasure chest, but you can see it has latches on it. Which, yes, means it is a monster. And, well, I guess you could technically call it a liar. So we're just gonna get behind it, and we're gonna wreck it. Oh wow, that was weird. It actually somehow got a hit off as we were destroying it. But that's okay. And for that we get the Dark Mask, which is the last piece of the Dark Wraith set, I believe. And we also get the Malformed Skull, which is a pretty interesting weapon. That should be amongst the hammers, I believe. The great hammers, actually. The skull of some unidentified creature. Possibly the skull of a dragon. A rare specimen, likely too rare to be swung about willy-nilly. Yep, we've established that Aldia was very interested in dragons, was a bit of a mad scientist, and has a dragon research facility here, doubling as his home keep. So there's a malformed dragon skull around here. Possibly a bit of trash from one of his failed experiments, wouldn't you say? Also, a unique weapon in that it is a great hammer that I believe causes bleed buildup. Yes, it does. That's not normally something that you can have on a great hammer. As a matter of fact, Macduff can't even put a bleed stone on a great hammer, but this one, because of its teeth, it has that property. Also, it has no scaling, but massive base damage. As a matter of fact, if you infuse it with raw and then upgrade it to the maximum, I think it might have the highest base damage in the game. But it still has somewhat limited utility because eventually things with high base damage and scaling as well are going to pass it up, and also its durability is pretty rubbish. Unless you use a bracing knuckle ring, it'll wear itself out pretty quickly. On the bright side, it can be enchanted. Hurrah for woman! A very specific woman, in fact, our friend Lucatiel. Hey Luca, how you doing? We haven't had a chat since the Black Gulch.
Who are you? Oh. No, forgive me. I know you. Yes, of course. How goes your journey? I know not what you seek in this faraway land, but I pray for your safety. Please take these. Consider this thanks for keeping me sane.
Very nice. This is actually the end of Lucatiel's quest line. You can still have a conversation with her here as long as you've talked to her in each of her previous locations, but only if you've had her co-op with you and survive in 3 or more boss fights will she give you that equipment.
My name is Lucatiel. I beg of you remember my name, for I may not myself.
God, that is just a heartbreaking line, and contributes considerably to my impression of her as the game's best character. The curse is really doing a number on her, it seems. She couldn't recognize us at first, and she's afraid that soon enough she won't even be able to remember her own name. Very well acted, I think, very well written character. I am just a big old Lucatiel fan. I've actually come around on the characters in this game overall. I do think they're more memorable and interesting than I originally gave them credit for. Just spending more time with this game has kind of made them grow on me, but she's still my favorite. Let's go ahead and light up the bonfire and maybe comfort her with a little warmth. And we'll take a look at her gifts. Her armor, by the way, is actually really good, sort of lower middleweight armor. It's heavier than the really light armor, but not very heavy, and it's got very good protection relative to how much it weighs. I think it's going to be a little too heavy for me with my greatsword and Havel's greatshield right now, but eventually, as we continue to level up, if I get some more vitality on me, it may be my endgame armor. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. More immediately. Normally, hats and masks are separate, but these two have been adjoined. Yep, we've seen that sort of eerie Burger King effect she has. More interestingly, my pronunciation is sketchy as ever on the fly. A vest worn by knights while on travel, belonged to Lucatiel of Mira. Only those who have distinguished themselves on the battlefield were admitted into the elite ranks of Mira's official order of knights. It is common to hear of a peasant's dream of striving for knighthood as an escape from hardship, but who would ever think it possible? Well, that's our Lucatiel. Anyway, this is not only the end of her questline, but normally it is the last time she appears in the game. Or at least, that's true in the base game. There is one more summon sign for her in the DLC, and that, I think, well, I don't know for sure, but I'd like to take that as a sign that she's still out there searching and hasn't given up hope and lost all her sense of self just yet. Hang in there, Lucatiel, we're all rooting for you. Down here in the fountain, get a free Radiant Life Gem. You have to drop in there from above because you can't get over the lip here. Oh, actually, you know what? I think if I go down here and kind of head around the stairs to the right, I think there might be some other thing here. Ah, my memory serves me well for a change. Only a fire seed, which we don't have a whole lot of use for at this point in the game, but again, we can still throw it at our Dark Pyro hand if we just want to upgrade that for collection's sake. And if not, we can always sell it back to Gavlin. Nothing on this side, I believe. Nope. Just a dead end. And now we may proceed onward into Aldia's Keep. Lucatiel of Mira. Lucatiel, I think we might have found your brother. Well, he is a reasonably well-equipped Red Phantom, but at the end of the day, he's still a basic NPC AI type of Red Phantom. Sensible enough to use Estus, though. I wonder what that appearance of his could mean, though. Kinda worrying. I know Lucatiel's out searching for her brother, and I hope he doesn't just invade her and try to kill her. I mean, God, her story's tragic enough already. Maybe he's even gone hollow himself. But that does remind me that we haven't looked at the Mirror Greatsword. Where is it? There we are. This greatsword demands advanced skill in a rare and unique sword technique. A tiny message is inscribed on the blade, a promise to someone special. Is it her brother, or does she have a sweetheart somewhere? She doesn't really seem like the type, as antisocial as she is, but you never know. If the wagons are rockin', don't come a-knockin'. Man and then woman. Nice. These vibrating wagons here, they actually just have basilisks in them. I guess Aldia is keeping specimens for his research. You can't actually break them yourself, but certain enemies or things in the environment can break them, but that'll just unleash a normal basilisk at you. Well, how about that? Yeah, like I said, even though the name of this place in the final game was changed from the Dragon Research Facility, it still seems like it's probably a perfectly applicable name. And yes, in fact, in the original release, when you approached, the dragon skeleton here would rear up and then come crashing down on top of you. I readily admit that the first time I ever got here, I stood there gawping at it like an idiot, and it fell on my head and one-shot me. I don't know if it's a guaranteed kill, but it certainly hits hard enough to one-shot a character who's at this level without any excessive grinding. Now, it can still do that in Scholar, but we'll need to fulfill some conditions before then. We'll be doing it, don't worry. Pull back, pull back, pull back. Whole lot of warnings here. And finally, don't you dare. And as a matter of fact, that's pretty good advice. This lever does something rather important, and it's something that we're not going to want to do. If we head around to the other side, there will be an explanation for that. Well, half of an explanation anyway. Got a force field here, and seems like someone's imprisoned on the other side. Yep, completely impermeable.
Please, just stay away. No, please, don't come near me. Nothing good will come of it. Just leave me alone, please. Leave this place and leave me be, as I'd not see any harm befall you. Please. Please. Just leave me alone.
Well, that's about as much as we can learn here while we're human. This gentleman here is Navlan. We've actually seen his name in some of the spell descriptions, known for his hexes. Actually, let me see if I can find one of those real quick. Yeah, here we go. An esoteric spell created by Navlan, the infamous exiled sorcerer. He was executed along with his entire village, and the mere utterance of his name became a crime. Some say it was because he sought to restore the banned art of resurrection. Well, that doesn't seem to have worked out too well for him, because he is now imprisoned here because he's possessed. And I have to wonder if he got himself possessed as a result of his forbidden research. If we talk to Navlan while we're unhallowed like this, we will be able to talk to the regular version of him, but if we come here in hallowed form, we will actually be able to talk to the entity possessing him. And that entity is a source of a side quest that we won't be able to completely finish until the very end of the game, but basically he sends you on assassination missions and asks you to bring back proof of killing various NPCs. Now, you can actually get the proof through other means and bring it back here without killing anyone, and he'll accept the proof unquestioningly. So, that's the way we're going to do it, but we'll have to come back here when we're hollow, and it's going to be a while before we can bring him evidence for all of his assassinations anyway, so that's kind of back burner. Anyway, the reason you don't want to let him out is because, being demonically or supernaturally possessed, if you release him from his force field there, he will repeatedly invade you in a number of areas. As an invader, he's pretty tough, a pretty good caster, and kind of interesting in that he has a completely unique hex. It's one that you can't get by any means for yourself, and no one else in the game has it. It's kind of like a dark magic version of one of the pyromancies that we'll see later, so I'll talk more about that when we get that. But anyway, we don't want to fight him, and we want to be able to do his quest line later, so I am not letting him out. Something I do want to do, though, is light up this sconce. Not just because I always do that, but because, as the Don't You Dare here indicates, there's something special about it. It spawns a Forlorn. No, you don't. Like the jumping attack, do you? I'll show you how it's done. Worthy of note is that the Forlorn spawned when you light the torches here. They don't actually count as invaders, so you don't get the obligatory effigy for killing them. I do think they count towards Straid's total, though. So, if I kill off any Forlorn that I spawn that way, I should be able to eventually look at the Forlorn weapons in Straid's inventory. I think I discussed this before, but the Forlorn, as you slay them, more and more of their equipment and weaponry becomes available for sale by Straid. And over here we've got some lovely looking glasses. And it so happens that they function just like the ones wielded by the Looking Glass Knight, at least in respect to being able to summon enemies. Matter of fact, I believe the very NPC opponents here are the same ones that the Looking Glass Knight can spawn in when he doesn't actually summon a player. There will be 3 of them here in total, I believe. Poor bastard didn't even get a chance to turn around. And this is just kind of freaky here. Looks almost like someone was trying to come through the mirror and got stuck. Well, bad luck for them. I thought maybe I could sneak in the backstab there, but that was a step too slow. An upgraded Northern Ritual Band, and perhaps some more research scraps. And what, pray tell, is in the box? Ooh, now that's a quality treasure. And in addition to some quality treasure, here we can acquire a quality ally. Sellsword Loot again, tankiest of the tanks. And this time he's a proper Phantom and not a Shade, so he can and often will join you all the way to the end of the level. Not only is Sellsword Loot very tanky and equipped with a red eye ring to draw aggro away from you, he is also capable of chugging Estus, and on top of that, we now have access to the Warmth Pyromancy, so we can even heal him when we need to. Now right here blocking this stairway, we've got a Petrified Hippo. And we don't really need to unpetrify it for any particular access reason, because we can just go up the side staircase here. But I'll have to check my Fragrant Branches. If we have enough of those, then it may actually be worth doing. 3, I think, will probably suffice. We don't have too many things left to spend them on. And as I mentioned, we don't have to do this to actually get up here, because we can always just take the side stairway. However, if I am not forgetting myself, what this gentleman has for us is a unique piece of armor. So let's go ahead and help out the water horse here. He will not be appreciative, and we will have to fight him as normal, but well, we've got someone to draw aggro for us, and again, we want that armor. Hey, I'm over here, dude. Oh, with Loot there, he's not even particularly interested in us. What with the red eye ring that Loot is rocking, but we can, as you just saw, still get hit by the backswing. And the red eye ring isn't 100%. Sometimes he still does think you're worth messing with. But this is what we came for, the Dragon Acolyte Mask. Mask worn by acolytes of Aldia. Several of the greatest minds converged in Aldia to weave strange new ritual. Ah, shit. Hold that thought, folks. We've got an invader. Come, Loot. Someone wants to kill us. It's not entirely a bad thing if it happens, because that just means that we will ultimately be able to talk to Navlan and get his holo dialogue. Question is, where he at? Back here by the mirrors, possibly? Does not seem to be the case. Oh, I heard a crunch. There he is. Alright, magic versus fire. Let's do it. An actual win. How often does that happen? Now then, the Dragon Acolyte Mask. Several of the greatest minds converged in Aldia to weave strange new rituals, but rumors suggest that during the course of their work, their thoughts were not their own. The nebulous face of the mask is designed to deflect the ire of the ritual sacrifice. So old Aldia might have been press-ganging people into service, huh? Well, nonetheless, if you ever wanted to look like a gazing ball, here's your opportunity. Now then, up here on the top level of the main keep, we have over here a chest. No latches. Couple bonfire ascetics, not bad for free. And we've got another of those forlorn sconces here. Oh, I dare. Do I ever dare. Thanks for the bait there, Loot. Second one's a charm. I can't recall. Is there anything we can do over on the other side of this floor? Well, only one way to find out. Oh no, that's the alternate way up. Okay. Now, we do have a couple of petrified hollows here, but I don't think they're really worth reviving. Think carefully, yeah. I think one just has a couple of bonfire ascetics, and the other has some kind of consumable something that we don't really care that much about. Now, we do have a giant basilisk here that we could completely ignore and be safe in doing so, but if you aggro it, it can break out of its cage, and we can have a little mini-boss fight. It always seems to be particularly interested in loot, though, and I don't think he's in very much danger of getting petrified. Too damn tanky. Oh, and for that we get the Dragon Sagehood. Pretty much the same flavor text. In fact, exactly the same flavor text, except that it says it's worn by the Archmaster of Aldia. And it makes you look like a gazing ball with a spaghetti mop on it. Right, moving onward. May not be immediately apparent how you get through here, but in point of fact, it's not too difficult. We do, however, have an invisible hollow here. Yoink. Anyway, to continue onward, all you have to actually do here is pull the dragon's tongue. And now we start to get into the really mad science-y research lab part of the facility here. And it is also, as you can see, quite dark ahead. However, that is very easily remedied, because there's a Pharaoh's contraption here, which helpfully turns on the lights. Looks like there's been a lot of experimenting going on here, including a little work on an active mimic. We've got a giant beetle up there, a hippo off in the distance, and you can kind of see through the crack there that there's something behind this painting. And here we meet the first of Aldia's science team. Not quite a lab coat, but I guess it's close enough. Anyway, there's no particular reason to mess with the monsters in the cages here. I don't think most of them can even be hit. They don't have actual hitboxes. But the hippo is an exception. Just like the giant basilisk, if you piss it off, it's gonna break loose and run rampant. But with our sellsword buddy drawing aggro for us, there's only so much it can really do. Just want to make sure I don't get hit by any backswing there. And its flop down attack does have some AoE, so I gotta be careful of that. And not even Loot can tank a hippo and come away unscathed, but he's got his Estus, and I think he has an unlimited supply of it, so no big problem there. And the cage up above, what we have is an enhanced undead, which is a type of hollow, I guess, that has been, I think, crossbred with a dragon, because if you look at its head, you can see it has horns poking out. And these guys, when you kill them, can drop the malformed skull, and also another item called a malformed shell, which is another piece of dragon body part. In Scholar regular new game, this is the only time you ever see one of these. In the vanilla release, there were 3 of them in the flooded part of the Sinner's Rise, and in New Game Plus we'll have a few of them here as well in Sinner's Rise, but for now that's the only one we're really going to see. Welcome to the laboratory. Can't remember if there's any treasure in here, but we'll break up the specimen cabinets just to be sure. Oh, I think this, yeah, this message this message points the way to one. Oh, well that's kind of nice. Replaces the lockstone we just used putting the lights on. Yep, very helpful message here. We've got a hidden bonfire up ahead, behind this illusory wall. Which I will gladly take advantage of. Here we have another of those forlorn torches, which I will likewise avail myself of. I got a greatsword one instead of a scythe one this time. And once again, our big tanky sellsword buddy is going to provide a most excellent distraction. Now, and here we've got a great big old acid pit. And there's a reason for that we'll be able to find out in a little while. In the immediate, I'm just going to take off my stuff. And we will wade right in. We do have to have a care about these dogs, the same kind that we saw in the gutter. They can be quite damaging. Well, we do get a petrified dragon bone for braving the acid, along with a couple of divine blessings. and some appropriately placed corrosive urns. There, we don't want anyone blundering back into that place. Bear with me just a moment while I get re-equipped here, folks. Pardon the delay there, wanted to see if I could get away with not needing the Royal Soldier's Ring if I needed my, whatchamacallit, or if I wore the regular gauntlets, but I couldn't, so I'll just go back to the engraved ones. My greatsword's looking a little rough. I might want to drop a repair powder pretty soon. I believe this door is locked, and indeed it is. We will get the key for that eventually, but we're going to have to do a little backtracking for that. Do we want to get this hippo... Oh! He broke a wagon. Hey, Luke, get over here. I want to bring this hippo over. Loot! Okay, that's how it's done. Loot! Might have to heal him after I'm done here. Loot. Okay, come on, get over to the wall here. We need to bait the hippo into smashing through this gate. Because that's the only way to do it. Oh, come on, do your three-hitter. There we go! Getting the hippo to actually smash that gate down is quite a bit harder when you have loot providing tank duties for you, because with the hippo being not particularly interested in your own presence, it's going to go after loot, and getting him to block the door for you can be a little tricky with the way the NPC AI works. And for dealing with all that, we get a malformed shell. I forget what kind of weapon that is. I think it might be another hammer. Indeed it is. Appears to be a fragment of a giant shell, but its precise origins are unknown. The peculiar figure known as Lord Aldia attempted to uncover the secrets of life itself, and viewed the undead as a key to this mystery. And something else we've got here is the last of our forlorn torches, so I'm going to go ahead and light up and we'll deal with that. Come on, give me that backstab. Thank you, Loot. Oh, he actually took a swing at me instead of the guy with the red eye ring. Somewhat uncommon. Bye. And we've got one more hippo behind the gate there. You can get that one to come back here and smash through the door if you end up needing that, but we got it with the first one, so no big deal. Holy shitcakes! Well, apparently the hippo smashing through the gate has a surprisingly large area of effect, and it hurts like a motherfucker. Good to know. Our sword's looking a bit shitty, and so is loot. But that's okay, because we're getting near on the end of the episode here. Actually, you know what? We're so close to the next part of the game that I have half a mind. Leave him alone. But get out of the way. I'll take care of the scientist. Okay, you'll take care of the scientist. Whatever. Anywho, we see here the reason for the acid pit. It's for corpse disposal. Pretty nasty. Oh, and it looks like a drop from the scientist got stuck on the ledge there. I don't think we can actually get to that. Well, that's alright. Anyway, look at what we've got here above the corpse disposal pit. It's a pile of giant corpses. Looks like in addition to dragons, old Aldia was also interested in researching giants. And you may recall that when King Vendrick ventured across the sea to invade the giants, he brought back a number of them as slaves. Well, apparently slaves and as research subjects for his brother. Pretty grisly. And that's going to be important too, so you may want to keep that in mind. This, I believe, is the other side of that locked room, and indeed it is. Leave it alone, Loot. Actually, we should probably heal him up. He doesn't seem to be using any Oop, wrong spell tool. He doesn't seem to be using any Estus, which makes me think he can, in fact, run out. While he's healing up, I'll explain briefly that lighting the 4 sconces and defeating the forlorn that came out of them is the method that we need to do to activate the dragon in the foyer. So we'll eventually head back there and get what we need to from the big old dragon skeleton. For now, I'm just going to fast forward because it's going to take a while for Loot's massive pool of HP to recover. Wow. Loot has so many max HP that a warmth actually managed to run out before he could get all of his HP recovered. That's pretty extraordinary. Now then, we are over the hour mark, but we're almost done with the main part of this level. We're so close to done with it that I think I'm going to just go ahead and finish up. And Aldia sure liked his water horses, apparently. Wait a minute, why am I using my greatsword? It's almost broken. That's better. Oh, we have got one hell of a view out here. Say what you will about Aldia's habits, but the man knew how to pick some prime real estate. One moment, folks, I'm gonna top up Loot again. Alright, once again, the incredible tankiness of Sellsword Loot has proven too great for a single casting of Warmth, but he's reasonably well topped up, and I think I will probably leave it at that. Now we've got a boss ahead, and it's a pretty easy boss, honestly, but it is a very fiery one, so I'm going to want to equip my fireproof shield. I wonder if I can take the Royal Soldier's ring off. Nope, still a little too heavy. Well, that's alright. This is not a difficult boss, so we should be just fine without the Chloranthy ring. And here we have what I can only assume is the prize specimen of the Dragon Research Lab, the Guardian Dragon. Now, in the original release, this would be our first time seeing this sort of enemy, but because Scholar of the First Sin, whoops, added one to Hade's Tower of Flame, we've seen a weaker version of this enemy before. This one is statistically superior, but behaviorally it's really just about the same. The only difference is it can fly up and cling to the walls of its cage, as it's doing now, and breathe fire down on you that way. Not a particularly noteworthy addition to the moveset, but at least it does make use of the environment in a somewhat interesting way. And it is not specially weak to strike damage, to the best of my knowledge, but our hammer is still doing a very respectable job on it. Overall, not one of the bosses most inspiring of worry in the Dark Souls-averse. Oh, still hurts you pretty good if it manages to stomp you, as it does when I'm being terribly careless, but, you know. And when it breathes fire down on the environment, you have to run to the outer edges of the cage. But as you can see, the fireproof shield is an even better source of keeping yourself uncrisped. Something else it can do from its perch alongside the side of the cage is to breathe fireballs instead of a plume of fire on you. Doesn't seem to want to do that today, but it's not a particularly dangerous attack anyway. I'm fireproof, motherfucker. What are you gonna do now? You're gonna die is what you're gonna do. Yeah, good job, Luke. And unlike the version in Hade's Tower of Flame, we do get a boss soul for that. Do the dragons watch over the land of their own will, or are they in the grip of one of Aldia's spells? An excellent question, and one that we'll never get a definitive answer to. One thing worthy of note here is that the cage actually has an open sky, so I'm guessing either the dragon is not capable of flying that high to be able to escape, or maybe it's just institutionalized. At any rate, I'm going to proceed to the next area and light the next bonfire. And then in the next episode we'll come back and finish up with the dragon skeleton and exploring the remainder of Aldia's Keep. Gorgeous view ahead. Praise the sun. That long, long ride brings us to a new area, the Dragon Aerie. And if you look to the sky, you can see that that's not just a name. This really is the resting place for lots and lots of dragons, so Apparently, Aldia didn't choose his lovely real estate just for the view, but what one can presume is lots of handily acquired research subjects. That's quite an impressive edifice off in the distance. You can probably guess that we're going to be visiting it before too long. But first, the Emerald Herald has wandered from Majula once again.
Bearer of the curse, long have I awaited one such as you. One who might shatter the shackles of fate. One who can set me free. Bearer of the curse, it was my own manifestation that led you here. The ancient dragon has watched over the world for eons past. Take this. Do not resist. The dragon welcomes you.
Now, a couple of interesting things there. First is the Aged Feather. Remember when I said we'd eventually get something that rendered Homeward Bones completely obsolete? Well, the Aged Feather is exactly that. It is an unlimited use, warp back to a bonfire item. The child of the dragon, sequestered away from the world, imagined a world of boundless possibilities from the mere sight of a feather. The child of the dragon, huh? You talking about you, EH? Anyway, the other interesting thing here is that she said that we can set her free, and that it was her own manifestation that led us here. The manifestation thing might actually be a sketchy bit of translation. From what I hear in the Japanese version, she uses the term bunshin, which no doubt Naruto fans will be familiar with. The idea of a bunshin is it's a split off of your body, like a clone or a doppelganger. So apparently the Emerald Herald has been distributing clones of herself around various areas. That's probably who we saw at Drangleic Castle and in the Undead Crypt, and possibly even here, because that would explain why they deliver one set of lines and then don't say anything more. They probably just have pre-recorded audio, of a sense. So the plot does thicken. But really, we're well over time for this episode, so let me just find my way to the bonfire, which I'm certain is around here somewhere. And then we will pack it on in. Where's my bonfire at? Is it in the next structure here? I think it might be. It is, capital. Now, the ladder here, if I recall correctly, can actually skip a big chunk of the level, and in fact you'll need to if you don't have a Fragrant Branch of Yore, because there's a hollow statue up ahead, if I recall correctly. Yep, there he is. But if you do have a Fragrant Branch, you can proceed through the level normally, and it will be quite interesting. And it will have lots of goods for us, too. However, that, along with the conclusion of Aldia's Keep, is going to be for next time out. So for now, I would like to thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure as always, folks, and I will see you again very soon. Till then, have a good one. This product of the I Played a Thing research facility has been brought to you by Justin Carpenter, Nolden, Zangamarth, Charlie Dunst, Anonymous Benefactor, John Madigan, Johnny Millennium, Sanguine Games, Misha Van Doren, Craig Patterson, Frank Rizzi, Tim J., Lolo De Puzzlo, Joshua C. Ritchie, Jared C. Rice, Darren Chow, Sonic Rose, EX Potemkin, Alicia Goranson, Argyle Jelly, Menkasaurus, DG Jono, Doug Russell, August Fortnight, and many other generous patrons. We would also like to say thank you to all of our lovely commenters, subscribers, and watchers. Thank you for watching, and see you real soon.